Good afternoon. This is Rich Nass, and I am the Executive Vice President and Brand Director for the Embedded Group within Open Systems Media. And I am here for this week's installment of 5 Minutes With. And this week we'll be talking to Nick Papadopoulos. Okay, I was pretty close. That's a tough one. Nick is the president of U-blox America. Good morning, Nick. How are you?
Good morning, Rich. I'm very good. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. My pleasure. Okay, so let me ask you the first question. The name of your company is U-blox, and it's a little bit unique. It's U-blox. What does that mean? Where did you get that name from?
Originally, it was actually named U-blox, mu for micro, meaning small in Greek. And it stemmed from the fact that the company started out as a miniaturization company. And it turns out that in the non-Greek speaking countries, mu is difficult to find on the keyboard. And at the same time, the registration of corporations in Switzerland does not include the Greek alphabet. So we actually made it U-blox.
That's fairly interesting. that was deeper than I thought it was going to be. Well, thank you. Okay. So U-blox is known for positioning technology. That's sort of your expertise and your claim to fame. This technology has really come a long way in a relatively short period of time. So where do you see future improvements coming from with respect to positioning technology?
It's actually very interesting. You're correct. We built our reputation originally as the company making the smallest, most accurate, commercially available GPS receivers. But we have come a long way since then. We have since actually entered the cellular and the short-range radio market as well. In terms of positioning, this is the reason why actually we did expand. We actually see a convergence of technologies with respect to positioning. Initially, so you had only GPS satellite receivers to determine the position, but of course they only work outside or typically outside. But in building, penetration is kind of weak, so we actually increased the sensitivity of GPS receivers first. Then we decided, okay, in order to create additional indoor positioning abilities, you may actually need the help of a modem. We use our technology Cell Locate, which is a trademark of U-blox, where we actually determine the position based on the availability and location of wireless cell towers. And of course, you can imagine that this can go beyond that. You are familiar, of course, with the Wi-Fi positioning, and this is another reason why we expanded into Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. For us, the future lies in the fact that we will continue developing positioning technologies associated also and in conjunction with the short-range radio communications like Bluetooth and Wi-Fi.
Okay, very good. Now, you talked about a combination. I'd like to ask you the combination of search and positioning, because we know that that's a place Google has been spending a lot of money. They want to know where you are so they can serve up things that are within your area. Do you see that as a viable combination?
Absolutely. This is actually one of, as I said, one of the reasons why we expanded the product portfolio for cellular and short-range radio. In addition to that, however, Google Search, as you know, is expanding also into the vehicle. You have Google now also provide operating systems, Android operating system versions and variants for cars. And of course, this is where the money is for Google. And for us, the advantage is that especially in the automotive sector, we actually have advanced new positioning technologies, not only with cellular, but also with additional sensors inside the vehicle or inside our positioning modules to determine the location of the vehicle and guide you to the nearest exit, nearest gas station, nearest coffee shop, if you will, by even if you don't have GPS satellites or GNSS satellites, as they call them, because there's also other satellite systems out there. So even if you're in a tunnel with our technology, Google or Apple, if you will, operating system in the car can help you find the nearest hotel, whatever you're looking for, even though you're in a tunnel at this very moment.
Very interesting. Okay, we're almost up against our 5 minutes, but one of the last questions I'd like to ask you is the technology is the technology you have to provide very different in Europe than it is in the United States based on standards and just geography and things like that?
It is somewhat different depending on the markets you're looking at. For example, the proliferation of positioning technology in North America was driven by fleet management systems, whereas in Europe it was actually mostly driven by car navigation systems. But from a technology perspective, they're actually very similar. In the auto space, for example, you have E911 opportunities in the United States, similar e-call and ERA GLONASS opportunities in the European and Russian markets. Those are slightly different technologies inside the modems for positioning, utilizing our GNSS receiver. But we have mastered actually both those technologies in a singular device, so that from a development perspective, we are, I want to say, continent independent.
That's great. And I think, like most Americans, I tend to group Europe as just one big geography where we all know that that's not the case. Okay. That was our 5 minutes with Nick Papadopoulos, the president of U-blox America. Thank you very much for your time, Nick.
Rich, thank you. Have a good day.